And what we're going to be doing next here, guys, we broke down the news. We're going to have some fun now. We're going to move into the court here, the Queen's Court, which we've been playing this little game every Tuesday on a weekly basis since Emily started joining us on Tuesday, where each of the coaches who are attending the show that day bring a stock for analysis. They submit the stock for analysis, break it all down, review it, give you the detail as to why they like it, maybe even some ideas on how to play it. And then the Queen makes a decision whether or not they get to live or not, or whether they get their head chopped off because they're bringing a poor pick or one that she just doesn't like, or maybe she's just in a bad mood. Who knows what is going on that given day. I've had my head chopped off a couple times, so I'm hoping to bring something good here for you today. Who do you want to go first here, Queen?
Let's have Mark go first, because we had that question posed posed on ConocoPhillips and ExxonMobil, and was Chevron. So I want to hear his analysis on that.
And if you didn't catch it earlier, before we get going started with Mark, Coach Matt did submit Pfizer as his pick and analysis. And Emily, he's not here. He ran for the door, so you can't even chop his head off at this point.
I can still chop his head off. I mean, he already gave me the analysis. I already know where his head is at, so I can chop him off. So he doesn't have to be present to be chopped off.
So Judge Matt's analysis first. Does he live?
You don't tell the Queen what to do. The Queen will do what the Queen wants to do.
Mark goes first.
All right, fair enough. All right. What do you got, Marky?
All right, and I really do, the older I get, listen, I'm not as much of a short-term trader as I used to be. I like position trades, I like investing, and I'll use short-term technicals to help guide my decision. For example, you get a support break on broad market on tech, I'm going to reduce exposure. Whenever I have a broad area support break, I'm going to reduce exposure. But I really do believe in this concept of analyzing and creating themes and creating theses based on logic and facts and everything that you can put together and make a thing, and then sticking with those as long as all of the facts support those. And I talked about this last week with UPS, how I explained my whole thesis on UPS, why I like that area of the market. Had a pretty good week. Now any given week, it doesn't change your thesis, right? But you like to see positive price action, especially when it goes well. Well, with energy, and I've shared this many times, my thesis over several months has been you're going to have an economic reopening that is going to help fuel energy cost. You're going to have an overheated economy, and those raw materials, and you go look at raw materials all over the place, whether it's corn, whether it's copper, whether it's palladium, whether it's lumber. You've seen some parabolic moves. Now, we haven't seen parabolic moves in oil. We've just seen really healthy price appreciation. Now, so we have all of the components on oil that create a positive backdrop. Now let's talk inflation. Number two, invest in vehicles that do the best in an inflationary environment, copper and oil. Copper, really nice run, still room to run. Oil tends to do very well. I don't know what's spooking tech. I don't know. I don't have the exact causality. I know there's a lot of things out there, higher rates, inflation, this and that. I do know that many of those core things that are spooking tech, they serve as positive tailwinds, not headwinds. Headwinds for tech, tailwinds for oil, tailwinds for energy companies. I've had this thesis, I've shared this for months and months and months. And then every once in a while, you're going to get negative price action. And people are like, listen, has anything changed in the thesis? The answer is no. And if nothing changes and you're right on your thesis, you're going to get some positive price action. Now we get down to the specifics, all right? So, got this really, I think, logical, sound thesis behind oil and energy companies itself. When you talk about valuation, another thing that is spooking the market with valuations and talks of bubbles and this and that, that ain't not the case with energy companies. You have very healthy fundamentals. You certainly aren't overvalued, both from a classic fundamental standpoint, but also from a still got room to run on the chart. A lot of these companies, and my pick's going to be ExxonMobil, XOM. they still got room to run, even if you just use basic rudimentary metrics, like compared to where things were pre-COVID. The fundamentals on oil companies as a whole are dramatically improving. The thesis behind crude oil, if you have inflation, which guess what? You do, and it's going to continue for a while, oil benefits in that environment. You still got room to run on the chart. Now, the kicker is, and why I chose ExxonMobil over the other oil companies, in looking at their raw numbers, ExxonMobil did an absolutely fantastic world-class job at cutting costs. Their CapEx expenses right now, I was surprised at how low they were. Now, this is part of the thesis, right, that I've shared several times, that, energy companies, out of a need to survive, were going to have to reduce costs. Boy, they did so and then some. Now, reduce cost, higher oil prices, economic reopening, that's going to lead to a lot of cash flow, genuine cash flow, the ability to pay down debt. And as they pay down debt, improve their own cash flow, they create a wonderful situation, because while you love a price appreciation, and short-term traders, you do, that's not, nor will it ever be, what energy companies are to me. They are a cash flow, healthy dividends that are going to get restored, maybe even bumped up like our European counterparts, buyback situations, which are a form of dividend, and if you get some price appreciation along the way, great. You can sell those covered calls, even out of the money. And for directional traders, and once again, I don't directionally trade, but when I get candlesticks in situations that say, uh-oh, we might get some upward price appreciation, we're getting that on the chart. Looking at the weekly chart on ExxonMobil, that's a 6-week short-term consolidation pattern that you are up. Hey, what's the market doing today? What's ExxonMobil doing today? I think how you are doing today has a lot to do with where you're exposed. Energy companies healthy, and I think when you are this strong counter market, that's a healthy sign. Chart's healthy, the fundamentals are healthy. The fundamental thesis was only strengthened. I think there are times, and I love Matt's pick, by the way, in Pfizer. There are times where something feels like this could be as cheap as it gets for a while. UPS felt that way. Silver feels that way to me. Pfizer feels that way to me. And I think some of these big energy companies feel this way as well. I present ExxonMobil as my pick for the queen.
Well, thank you, Mark, for that wonderful analysis. I told you this last week, I love this type of Mark. You go through the thesis and explain your game plan and why and all that good stuff. I absolutely love ExxonMobil. I already have it on my watch list. It definitely a great cash flow candidate for me. It's my style of trading. I don't like, stocks that move up too much when it comes to cash flow. I can do directional trades on those things, but and the range where it's sitting at right now, I absolutely love ExxonMobil for a cash flow, long-term cash flow strategy. So Mark, for the second week in a row, you get to survive because you sold me on my key things: cash flow, dividends, your thesis. It's in a sector that's doing really well with the reopening theme. So absolutely love it. Thank you very much for.
Yeah, and the thing about it's funny from a trading point of view, Emily, because like you love it for the same reasons I love it, right? Because this isn't a 6-week trade. I'm not trying to make money today off this. I love the price stability. I love the thesis. And I love it when I can look into the future and cash flow for months and months, maybe years and years. And if I get some upward price appreciation bonus, which the chart is pointing to that. So there are short-term trading opportunities, but that's not why I love it. I don't think that's why you love it. I don't think that's why I'm living today. So.
Yeah, ExxonMobil is one of those where, if once it gets going, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you can literally cash flow on a stock like this for quite a bit of time before it starts to give you any sort of, reversal or anything like that for a while. So
let me get this right. Matt left. He's running through the hills in the countryside, and he escaped the Queen's wrath.
Actually, he didn't escape the Queen's wrath.
Well, he's taking a nap because he got the day off because his Pfizer analysis was spot on. That's probably more accurate. Mark has already lived So now I'm probably the human sacrifice again. Okay.
Well,
Uh,
okay. Let me tell you why you do this to yourself every single week. You know that, right? Like you start off on survival mode and then you just end up just putting your foot in your mouth and you just end up dying just because of just saying something you shouldn't say.
I
You
don't want to
gave me
die.
the floor.
I'll stop talking, Queen. I will. I will stop talking.
You gave me the floor and asked me who should go first. I call out Mark and then you bring back Matt about his Pfizer analysis.
I was thinking we could get the judgment there. Maybe Matt leaves. He gets his head chopped off.
I did once say that if his mic goes out while he's doing his analysis on the Queen's Court, he would have his head chopped off. But technically, his mic did not go out while he was doing the Queen's Court. So he may or may not survive. I'll let you go next, and then we'll see. It's between you and Matt at this point.
Now, this is not usually a good selling point, but Exxon was my pick, so you're going to get my second choice right now. And I heard earlier, and I've been thinking through this. There's several different ways I want to approach this. I got a couple of different that were on my brain for my second choice. Number one, earlier you're talking about your exposure to materials, energy, and those types of the market. I don't know how much healthcare you have to keep your portfolio balanced. UNH has been a juggernaut, so I was considering the UNH play. I also was thinking about the way that you were discussing that earlier, and Target just has a beautiful technical setup for a short-term trade. So after thinking through that, seeing the analysis from Mark and Matt, and also trying to do the best I can to keep my head intact today, I'm going to go with Target. And I'm going to approach it from a slightly different angle. You're adding and you're getting these ideas around fundamentals, which are sound. Mark's breakdown of ExxonMobil, what's happening. I really loved hearing his response to Exxon's report last week because I'm an investor in Exxon and I trust Mark's instincts and his read and his judgment. So when he tells me he loved the report, cost-cutting measures, that gave me the old stamp of approval on Exxon. One of the reasons why I do even like it as much or more that I have for some time, and I do own it. So Exxon's already on the table. You also got the Pfizer analysis, which frankly is not a short-term real analysis. Pfizer is a wonderful long-term fundamental company with the year projection of earnings growth in front of it, as well as their revenue guidance being increased like Coach Matt talked about. Those are two kind of fundamental ideas with the technical kicker. They also do have technical kickers. But here's what I love about Target this week. Number one, Coach is approved, okay? It was on the option report over the weekend. Coach Tyler, Frank, Matt, myself, in the report meeting, we went through the process. We bird dogged that. Number two, I know how much the Queen likes breakouts, okay? Especially on fundamentally sound companies with liquid option chains that you can use a lot of different tactics with. And when we're talking relative strength here today, Coach Emily, what color are these candles right here?
They are green.
They are green and the market's red, and yet Target is holding its breakout channel, not giving it up, not going back below yesterday's low point, which was the breakout point. You got a couple of different technical levels to pay attention to here. You'd have to map out a trade. Number one, we did have this breakout zone at $210, currently trading at $210.69. You come down into the intraday chart. There's a couple of things I think you could map. Number one, just a new trigger above yesterday's high. Let's say you didn't catch the trigger coming into Monday, right? You wake up lazy on a Monday morning. You didn't do your routine yesterday. You missed it. There's a new trigger right on the chart that absolutely is tradable for a swing trade, Coach Emily. So my suggestion and my offer to the Queen is you've got your fundamental technical picks that are longer term cash flow from the other two participants. They did wonderful analysis. I'm going to bring you a little different flavor here for you to add to your short-term idea list, and that's Target as a swing trade off of the breakout, off of the pivot breakout, and after holding yesterday and today on relative strength. My Queen, that is my analysis.
I love Target. You know, I love me some Target. I love where it's sitting at right now, that all-time high yesterday. And like you said, if you missed the breakout yesterday, you can easily, reset, put that trigger on above on yesterday's high. Now, you don't listen. I gave you the sector that I was looking at. XOB. I threw you a bunch of examples this early on in the show
Respectfully,
today.
my queen, you already have exposure in that sector. I wanted to give you a little bit of a different.
I let you go last so that you could at least try to go and look for something in basic materials so you can bring me something from the basic material sector, but you failed me once again. And on top of that, you killed me on Among Us on Friday, so I absolutely have to chop you off today. So this is a revenge, nothing to do with Target, love Target, but this is just more a revenge kill for me for what conspired on Friday night. So Tim, you get your head chopped off.